Hey everyone. Welcome back to the Road to 2000 series. This is episode 6. Today, what I thought I'd do is talk about a game that I played earlier in the week. And I wanted to show you guys because I thought it was a pretty cool game. So, I'm going to be sort of doing a post game analysis instead of, what I normally do, the kind of live commentary. Um, so in this game, I was playing with the black pieces. My opponent played e4, and I played the Caro-Kann. Now, when I'm white and I face the Caro-Kann, what I do is I play the exchange, which is what my opponent played. Then I play the move bishop d3, and then my opponent normally gets one of the knights out. I play c3, then they get the other knight out, and then I play h3. And the reason I do those three moves is to limit the mobility of the light squared bishop. So I can show it because basically this is what happened. So this is what I do with white when I face the Caro-Kann. And it's kind of weird to me that no one does this when I play the Caro-Kann with black. Like, I feel like with black, I've faced this position barely any times, maybe like once or twice in blitz games, but never over the board and never in a rapid game. But I find it really good weapon against the Caro-Kann, and I feel like I have a really high win rate with white when I get this position. Normally, when I'm white and I have this position, black either plays e6. Black kind of realizes that they can't move their bishop out, and they either play e6, just conceding that they won't get the bishop out, or they play e5, in which case they take with the knight, you get the knight out, and normally they take the bishop. So they get your light squared bishop, but they have this isolated pawn, which I find pretty easy to play against. So I don't think that's a very good idea for black. And then the final move that I face with white when I'm white in this position is g6. And the idea of g6 is to play bishop f5 and trade off light squared bishops and get this sort of pawn structure, and eventually play e6, so get this sort of pawn structure. I probably find that the most challenging to play against when I'm white, this g6 line, but it's quite aggressive, and it is not the sort of position a Caro-Kann player normally likes to have, because it's quite aggressive, and sometimes you don't even castle, you put your rook on the g file. So yeah, that's why I really like this position with white, and I'm surprised I don't face it more often, because I play the Caro-Kann all the time, and almost no one plays this against me. But anyway, so in this position, I kind of had to decide what I was going to play. I mean, this is a position I really like with white. e5, I feel is very comfortable to play with white. e6 is just too much of a concession. So I decided to go for this g6 line, even though I've never played it, and I knew that it's quite an aggressive setup where you put your rook on the g file, and sometimes you don't castle. So I went for it. I just thought e5 and e6 is too bad for black, basically. So I played g6. My opponent played knight f3, and then I got the bishop to f5, and we traded. So Yeah, I've never played this before with black, but I think um, I know the general ideas. You've traded off your light squared bishop, so you want to play e6 and just get all these light squares covered. Bishop d6, rook g8, and yeah, just attack basically. So my opponent castled. I played queen b6. It's sort of, maybe I should have just played e6 first. I don't think it's a bad move, but I don't think it's the best move either. I remember having this position once with white in an over the board game, and my opponent, who was black, ended up trading queens. And if the queens are off the board, I think that black has a bit of a advantage here. Or at least it seemed easier to play with black. So I wasn't worried about queen b3 and trading queens and maybe playing a6 and not castling and just getting my king involved straight away. So, yeah, queen b6 puts pressure on this pawn, and I thought if queen b3, I don't mind trading queens. So my opponent played knight b to d2. And that sort of blocks in the bishop. So I think e6 and bishop d6 are what I want to play. And that sort of helps me get control of this square. Okay, a4. Wasn't 100% sure what the best move is. I wanted to play rook g8, but yeah, a5 is maybe not scary, but I thought I'd just prevent it by playing a5 myself. c4 is a move I saw when I played bishop d6, and I wasn't scared about it because I thought that it just blundered a pawn. So I took the pawn, knight takes, queen takes, c takes on d5, queen takes, and now I'm just up a pawn. My king is very exposed here, but I think from what I understood in this position is you often don't castle. Like, you just play king f8 or just leave the king in the center and play rook g8 and just really like attack the white king. Okay, so knight f3. I played rook g8. That's the move I was sort of wanting to play for a while. Bishop g5 didn't seem like the best move because my knight wants to go to e4 anyway, and now it sort of hits the bishop with tempo. Rook f to d1 makes a lot of sense, attacking my queen. So I move the queen to c6. If this rook attacks my queen, I can take this pawn. Okay, but the knight attacks my queen, so I need to move out of the way. My queen's getting a little bit harassed here. And my king is feeling a little bit exposed. So it's not the safest position. Yeah, it's quite a attacking sort of sharp position, I suppose. Bishop e3, and yeah, what did I think about here? I thought about going like all the way back to d8. If I go to c7, now this rook comes in, and I just felt like white was getting too many tempos on my queen. So I played a move that's actually a mistake. I played f4, thinking I was being quite clever, like as a way to kick away the bishop. I missed that, like, after bishop takes, f4, bishop takes, queen takes. That would just be losing a pawn. But yeah, luckily my opponent missed it as well and went bishop c1. Okay, it says I've been disconnected. I wonder if that's still... Oh no, it looks to be working still. I think that's okay, actually. But okay, so my opponent goes back to c1, and now my knight's under attack. So I move my knight to g5. Yeah, it's a bit of a dangerous move. I thought that maybe h4 after h4 I had f3. Because after h4 it kind of looks like my knight's trapped, but I think f3 sort of holds tactically, or at least I thought so, but not 100% sure. But my opponent just moved his king. Because I was also threatening knight takes h3, because the pawn is pinned by the g8 rook. So my opponent moves his king across. Yeah, and now I go for this pretty wild looking long castles. I just wanted to get my rook into the game, and I wanted to try and create a bit of safety for my king. I think what's really interesting, is that the best move was actually rook d8. So I had the right idea of getting my rook into the game, my other rook. But actually, my king is safer here than here, or it seems to suggest, the engine seems to suggest, by preferring rook d8 to long castles. But I went with long castles, and it's still a decent move. The evaluation's like 0-0 here, which is pretty interesting, because I'm up a pawn, and it also seems to be a very sharp game. My opponent plays knight b5, which is a good move. And I play bishop b8. And yeah, this is apparently an inaccuracy, but I can't remember why. I think it's because my opponent can sort of just build up slowly like this and put pressure on my king. And my king doesn't have the b8 square to escape to, but I really wanted to keep my bishop, and I also wanted to make sure that the knight didn't have any entry squares. So I thought bishop b8 was a good move, even though it restricts my king. And I also thought that my opponent, if my opponent plays any of these checks, I can block with my queen, and after that exchange, I was okay with that. I felt like my position's pretty good. But I wonder if you'd believe me if I told you that the game ended in 4 moves. I mean, it wasn't like it was a blunder that led to this finale, but it was also, it was also building up to something, I think. So, so my opponent did play check, and then I blocked with the queen, fully expecting a queen trade. But I also saw that after the queen trade, the knight has to move, and that there weren't too many squares, so the knight can't move forward. It could go there. It could go there. No, I think I was thinking about a different line where the knight was going to get stuck. But after this queen trade, the knight can go back anywhere, so that's fine. But my opponent moved the queen. And here there's this pretty cool move, I took the rook there, and then there's this pretty cool move, knight takes on h3, because this pawn is pinned, and I think in this position f3 was very strong. Yeah, but that does look strong, and I think I had f3 in my mind in a different, like earlier in the game, but I was sort of getting a bit low on time, and I went for this, which looked very good too. And now my pieces are really alive. Like the queen has a nice diagonal, the bishop has a nice diagonal, the knight's threatening to win the queen with a check, with a fork there, the rook's alive, and there's also a checkmate in one threat. So, I mean, I thought my opponent like had to play queen f1, to stop the fork and the checkmate. But he actually just missed the checkmate completely, played queen e2, and I played checkmate. So yeah, that was a pretty cool game. I was kind of happy with how that game went. I sort of like took a bit of a risk. First of all, I faced the opening that I play with white against the Caro-Kann, which I find works really well with white, that for some reason I never face with black. So finally, I faced this weapon. And I went for the kind of more aggressive way to play it. And yeah, even though there were a few sort of sloppy misses in there, I felt like the general themes of the position I kind of made happen, and I implemented is the word I was looking for, which is getting the bishop to d6, putting the rook on g8, kind of bravely or aggressively leaving your king in the center, or perhaps castling, and trying to get the knight to e4 and just like attacking the king. So certainly there were a few things that went wrong. This move was a blunder. Well, yeah, I'd call it a blunder. I mean, it loses a pawn. But my opponent missed it, and then bishop b8 wasn't a great move either. That I think could have been punished with a bit more patience from my opponent. But I liked this sort of how it ended with a bit of a flourish, and then I got the checkmate that he just completely missed. Although by that point, I think it was pretty dangerous, I think. I mean, I was up 2 pawns, and this looks like there's some nice attack brewing there. But yeah, that was the game that I played. Thanks for watching this video. I might experiment with, doing some more post-game stuff rather than the live stuff. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But yeah, definitely wanted to share this one as I thought it was a pretty cool game. But yeah, thank you for watching. This was episode 6 of my Road to 2000. And I'll see you all next time.